Brendan Fraser used to be one of the most famous actors in Hollywood back in the 1990s, but after a couple of incidents in his life, he sort of went off the radar for a while. But now in 2022, the actor is coming back harder and stronger than ever with his latest movie, The Whale, and people can't stop talking about the trailer that just dropped for it. Anyways, let's get right into it. First things first, see Brendan Fraser transformed in first trailer for The Whale. To be honest, people couldn't stop talking about The Whale the moment they found out that Fraser was making his comeback with the starring role in it. After playing so many roles of beloved characters back in the 90s, hearing that we were finally getting another movie with him in it was a decent surprise for 2022. What's even better is that even though The Whale hasn't even been released yet, it's already becoming one of the most acclaimed movies in his entire career. The film in general has received a lot of positive reviews from critics, but a lot of them particularly praised the way Fraser handled his role in it. Up until now, all we knew about the film was that critics really liked it, and that it was about an English teacher named Charlie, of course played by Brendan Fraser himself, who is living with obesity and decides to somehow eat himself to death. Charlie's pain stems from the death of his gay lover, and he has since struggled to connect with his teenage daughter, who, by the way, is played by none other than the lovely Stranger Things star Sadie Sink. Other than Sadie, we also know that The Whale will also be featuring the Watchmen star Hong Chow, Samantha Morton, as well as Ty Simpkins. Oh, and the whole movie is being directed by Darren Aronofsky, who previously worked on hits like Black Swan. But now that the first trailer for the highly anticipated new movie has finally been released, we're that much closer to finally watching it on the big screen and learning more about what the film is about. Next up, a deeper look into the trailer. The trailer is only a minute long and honestly doesn't reveal much of the plot, but what it does reveal is a few very dreamlike scenes on a beach. The overall tone Aronofsky is going towards for the film, and most prominent of all, of course, some glimpses of Fraser in full prosthetics, transformed into a very believable 600-pound English teacher, just trying to reconnect with his daughter. Fraser speaks just one line in the trailer, but it's chilling. Do you ever get the feeling people are incapable of not caring? He says in the short 1-minute clip, "People are amazing." Just from that one line alone and that look in his eyes as he says it, we can see just how in sync Fraser is with his character. He might have been out of acting for a while, but there's zero doubt at this point that Brendan's going to absolutely kill this role. Besides, can we really forget that when the film premiered earlier this year at the Venice Film Festival, it received a 6-minute long standing ovation that literally brought Fraser to tears? In a recent interview with Aronofsky, the director shared that he found it pretty hard to find the perfect actor to play the role of Charlie. But when Fraser came along, he immediately knew he had found his guy. According to him, he realized that Fraser could definitely play someone who people would start off by dismissing, but within 5 minutes, they'd start to feel something for him. Even more, he also knew that by the 20-minute mark, viewers would already be in love because there's just something about Brendan, and that's when he starts to break your heart. Moving on, let's talk about some of Brendan Fraser's other movies. According to the trailer, we're going to have to wait at least a month until the movie finally premieres, which stated that it's going to be released in December. Luckily for us, Brendan's been at the center of a lot of pretty awesome movies back in his day, and now, with a comeback that's no doubt going to be legendary, there can't be a better time to go down memory lane with his top movies. So here are 5 of the best Brendan Fraser movies you need to watch while you wait for The Whale to release. Let's dive in. First up, Blast from the Past. Released back in 1999, Brendan Fraser plays a really sweet character named Adam Weber in the hilariously quippy and yet heartwarming comedy. Now, the interesting part about this movie is that Weber has spent his whole life, all 35 years of it, growing up and living in an underground bomb shelter, which was built by his obsessive father, who had been prepping well in advance for a doomsday. Anyways, the underground shelter eventually runs out of food, which leads to Adam finally coming out of the comforts of safety to restock his supplies. But when he ventures out into what he believed for his whole life was the nuclear wasteland of LA, he's shocked to find out that everything is fine. What's even better is that he eventually falls in love with a woman in the real world, played by none other than the lovely Alicia Silverstone, in all her post-Clueless era glory. And the way they interact with each other is filled with funny lines, ironic humor, and clear chemistry that it sells the entire movie. Not to mention, the film is star-studded, with actors like Christopher Walken and Sissy Spacek playing the roles of Adam's neurotic parents. Next up, The Mummy. Come on, did you really think we're going to suggest a Brendan Fraser marathon without adding in The Mummy? Also released in 1999, this is undoubtedly the movie he is the most known for, and it's for good reason too. It's endlessly entertaining, thrilling, and just pure all-around fun. Fraser takes up the lead role of Rick O'Connell, an explorer who hunts for treasure with his Egyptologist wife and brother Jonathan. They end up accidentally waking a revenge-driven mummified priest, and the rest of the movie deals with the gang teaming up to keep the world from facing his wrath. Here, Fraser plays the perfect dreamy action hero. He's charming, funny, dangerous, and a total The movie was so good that it got so many sequels, which you should definitely add to your Fraser marathon too. Coming up, The Quiet American. In what's pretty much the most recent film on this list, Brendan Fraser plays Alden Pyle in The Quiet American. Set in Saigon during the Vietnam War, expats Thomas Fowler, played by Michael Caine, and Alden Pyle arrive for different reasons, but wind up falling in love with the same seductive woman. Though the plot is a little complicated and gets kind of convoluted at times, the film genuinely proves to be more than it appears by the end. Once again collaborating with a living icon, the two complement each other far better than one might expect at first. Nothing is as it appears in this simple story of two wandering gentlemen. Following up, School Ties. This is probably Fraser's absolute best dramatic performance to this date. Here, Brendan plays David Green, a Jewish student at a high-end preparatory high school, rife with anti-Semitism. Green, who comes from a rougher neighborhood than his new classmates, establishes himself as tough and talented. Honestly, Fraser's overall performance in School Ties is so good, and in a sorta funny way, it even somehow foreshadows his future works, like when he did that Tarzan jungle cry referring to his part in George of the Jungle, and the big band and swing dancing in Blast from the Past. Like a lot of his other movies, this film is no stranger to a star-studded cast, and boasts performances by a young Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Chris O'Donnell, which definitely contributes to its overall greatness. Finally, Gods and Monsters. This movie is actually different from the usual comedy Fraser tends to appear in, based on the final days of James Whale's life, who was the director of Frankenstein. Brendan teams up with the English actor Ian McKellen to put forth stellar performances. Anyways, the movie deals with the Hollywood director that was famous for bringing films like Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein to the big screen, but also what he dealt with, especially in his last days, behind closed doors, depression, as well as the health complications that arose because of his old age. And so he welcomes a gardener named Clayton Boone, played by Fraser, into his life. Throughout the movie, we watch the two form a friendship that has a lot of challenges, with both Whale and Boone having different ideas as to where they want it to go. Fraser definitely does a really good job at playing the angry and slightly homophobic Clayton Boone, and the overall complex narrative of the movie definitely keeps viewers intrigued throughout and well afterward. And that's a wrap for this video. Are you excited to watch The Whale when it comes out? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.